Hi, I'm Roxanne Kibben, and I can't be here with you tonight, but I wanted to give you a little history perspective because my parents were very involved early on, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the founding and the early days of how the workshop and the Black Hills Works came to be. So, and back in 51, my mom was carrying me. My mother was a college educated woman who was very bright, but always didn't know how wonderful she was. And in fact, because she married into her 30s and was not, she had a number of struggles with pregnancy, first child at 37. And this was over 70 years ago, so you can imagine. And when my brother Wynn was about 18 months old, she was pregnant with me, and her sister-in-law nudged her to go see a specialist, and sure enough, the diagnosis came back that Wynn had Down syndrome. And mother, already feeling pretty inadequate in ways of, traditional woman duties of being a mother and a childbearer, had stillborn and miscarriages and now Win. And so she really was very self-deprecating. She took it very hard. She felt that she was responsible, that she'd done something wrong, and felt ashamed and guilty, all that. So she was devastated. And my father, on the other hand, blinded at the age 32 and a self-made man, so to speak. He started his own business after he went blind. And yes, mom and dad met on a blind date. But that's a story for another time, so I'll wait and share that maybe privately with you. But the dad, who didn't let blindness stop him, I mean, he even had a driver's license, go figure. He was a character. And so he said, Alice, don't worry about Win. He's going to be one of our happiest children. And sure enough, of the 4 kids, Win was. And Win taught us all about unconditional love, as you know, these kiddos can do. So mom and dad got very, very busy. Mom decided after she came out of her funk that she was never going to let another mother have to go through that alone. She knew it would have made a difference to her. So she found others. And at that time, it was pretty customary to send your child like that off to Redfield, which was the retarded children's hospital, or the retarded persons hospital. And yes, I'm using the word retarded because historically that's how we referred to them then. I don't use the R word these days, except in referring back to that historic reference. So mom didn't decide. I mean, she was not going to send Wind off to school, and she didn't know what else to do. So she found other parents. As I said, she made sure to be there and telling them her story and helping them to process through those feelings. And they started looking at what they needed to do. And lo and behold, Elma Custer, who's mom of Teresa Custer, Teresa Custer, and she became the first school teacher, and we had the very first school in our basement in the 326 St. Charles. And I can remember coming home from school, maybe 6 or 7, and there they were in the basement in their little chairs, and Elma was at the table with 3 or 4 students, and that's how the school got started. Eventually they could get into a little schoolhouse, and that was fabulous. And eventually the Retarded Children's Association of the Black Hills got their own little house on West Boulevard that they rented, and they could send newsletters. My parents did a lot of hours of donating their time and effort, and dad's business had a mimeographer, and I can still remember the ink smell of the mimeographing newsletters and running those off and stuffing the envelopes and having lots of people around doing lots of things so that they could get the word out. And lo and behold, eventually the fundraising happened to get the workshop, the Black Hills Workshop. And I can remember the first digging, and I just think it was such a milestone for my parents to be able to have seen that come together. And many, many families were engaged and parents, and that's how it happened. And so as I reflect back today on, you're sitting there 60 years later, and I just wanted to connect with you because, I know they had hardships. I know there were many hours of donated time, many unmet needs. And, I reflected back, found some old pictures, and I'll show them here as I'm talking, of the fundraising they did with the Black Hills racetrack, Greyhound racetrack that was out east of town. And one time, Dad couldn't drive, of course, so he would fly. He'd charter a plane and fly across to Mitchell for a board meeting of the state association. I can remember being with him that one time, going over there and being able to fly the plane. It was so much fun. Fond memories. And certainly they must have had a heck of a time raising money, and relied on the blood, sweat, and tears of the parents and the family members. So, I'm here today because my parents taught me that if there's a need, you go out there and you create the solution. I am in service today to people of needs. I have a child who's turning 18 today with special needs. And, I'm a very, consider myself a very rich and blessed woman, in part because I've learned to give back and to contribute. And I know what it is to make a difference. And so fundraising, whether it's, volunteers, hours, or money, isn't easy. Wasn't easy then, isn't easy now. So I beg you to just consider the blessings of your life and your special kiddo or person in your life that you know about, and how much richer you are. And pass that richness along by hours, services, money, and, know what it is. I am so content because I have learned that to make a difference makes my life of value. And I'm ever so grateful for that. Thanks for letting me share with you tonight. And thanks most of all, Alice and Jim and Wynn Kibben. What a world of difference you've made. Thank you.